Hello, and welcome to this video. Today I have been thinking about how I have neglected my childhood best friend, Cove Holden, for way too long. So honestly, we just have to go back into this whole mess that is the best mess I ever saw myself in. Powerpuff, can you tell a Powerpuff? It's a Powerpuff. But yeah, we are continuing, and I am very sorry for the lighting. It is awful. There's some lovely spring sun coming through the window, but it's not really lighting me. It wants to see my cheek, I suppose, but it's doing something, but that doesn't matter because we are playing Runaway and Sleepover today and actually ending step 1. So stay tuned. Let's go. It was early and you were on your way to the playground. Lizzie planned on joining you there later. You weren't sure what she was busy with right now. Older kid stuff, you imagined. That was okay. What was forefront in your mind was if Cove might be free too to come. As you walked the familiar street, wondering how you might find your neighbor, he appeared right in front of you. Almost like if he was a mind reader. Oh my god. Hi Cove, can you come to the playground with me? No. Sorry. Cove looked strangely serious. It had to be an even bigger deal than whatever mystery thing Lizzie had to do. I'm leaving, Rebecca. What? Where? He shifted, and your gaze was drawn to the backpack slung over his shoulders. Cove liked to stuff things into his pockets from what you've seen, but people sometimes carried bags with them. It hadn't been very attention-worthy until now. The pack was decorated with cartoon waves and dolphins. He gripped one of the straps tightly with his good hand. I just wanted you to know. Cove didn't glance up and meet your eyes. You started to grow worried. I don't get it. But where are you going? Oh. Can I go too? I'll come with you. Oh, dear God. In this situation, I'm just... Oh my goodness. His poor dad. What would I pick? But where are you going? He didn't answer. It was as if you hadn't said anything. I'll come back though. Sometime. I don't know when, but we can do stuff then. He directed a fragile smile your way. Hell no! Without another word, Cove turned on his heel and started to walk away. Bye! See you when you're done! Wait! You couldn't say anything else to him, so I'm actually really curious what happens if you do not go and pursue Cove, because I've never done that. I've always went with him to like get that bond or whatever. So don't scream at me for not following him, because I would actually like to see what happens if you don't. You couldn't say anything else to him, and he kept going. What was that about? Oh no, are we literally not gonna do anything? I think we're gonna be like shocked. Anyway, you watched as his back grew smaller and smaller. Then you realized that you were still standing in the middle of the sidewalk. You thought about your earlier plan of playing at the park. Suddenly, it didn't seem as fun anymore, not without Cove. But it wasn't like you could force him to play with you. He had things to do. Like, run away? What? You went to play at the park. Ooh. Okay, now... I wonder what would happen. You went to play at the park or you stayed there? I'm really curious. This is a different path than I've ever done. So, guys, I'm sorry if you wanted me to run after Cove, but I've done it so many times that I want to try something new. Oh my god, it just feels so cynical to just go at the park. Like, I guess, mind my business. Let's just stay here. You could play at the park some other time. It wasn't like it was going anywhere, and you couldn't bring yourself to leave like this. Right, that's kind of how it felt. You didn't move from your spot, you just continued to look on quietly. It didn't take long to realize that he was just going up the street. You were positive there was nothing good over there. Not the park, or the beach, or the store street. Or the store street, or his house, or anything. He was new. He might not know what you did. You jogged down the street to catch up to him. Okay, so I do wonder what happened if I had gone to the park. I guess we'll never know. You slowed down once you reached his side. He glanced at you from the corner of his eye and frowned. How rude. I'm here, okay? Go away, Rebecca. I can't even say that. I just wanted to say you're going the wrong way. There aren't any places the way you're going. His mouth twisted further. He did not appreciate your warning. I'm still going. Why? What are you doing? Walking. Oh, he's pissed at me. No. But why did you have to walk that way? Cove let out a deep sigh. You got the feeling that he was starting to get mad at you. I think he's been mad at me. Dear God. I told you I'm leaving. I'm gonna be gone for a while. You stopped pushing and let him go. I still want to go with you. Guys, I know you're probably screaming at the screen right now, saying, I still want to go with you. And it's probably what I also would choose. But let's just see if this ends up with you and like Mr. Holden in an epic let's find Cove facade. That would be cool. You stopped pushing and let him go. It was clear that he was on a mission. What was the point of insisting? It'd just make him more annoyed. Your steps faltered. As you slowed to a stop, Cove kept pushing forward. You're really coming back? He paused, glancing over his shoulder. His lips were pressed into a line. Oh no, he really is pissed. You weren't sure what that look meant. Yeah, sometime. Bye. Okay. Okay. Once again, he walked away from you. This time you turned around too. Oh man, what am I gonna literally do? You resumed your own walking, but in the opposite direction. Maybe Cove and his dad were going on a vacation. That had to be it. You reasoned. After all, Cove said he was gonna be back. He wasn't moving again. You would go to the playground alone, like you'd planned to before. You could play with Cove when you saw him next time. And then we went to the damn park. He's gonna go away. Oh no. Okay, so I'm really, really, really curious as to what's gonna happen. Because if you choose the other one, then you follow him and you do shenanigans and whatever. No spoilers. But yeah. So this is definitely a new leaf, if you will. After a couple hours at the playground by yourself. A couple hours? Oh my goodness. It had finally gotten firmly into afternoon. You were on the swing set with your feet buried in the sand when you spotted Lizzie in the distance. She was rushing over like something was on her tail, chasing her. Oh, so she probably knows that Cove is missing now. Oh man, this is interesting though. This is a different route to go. You knew she would be coming, but what was she that excited to go to the park? Instead of nabbing the swing beside yours, Lizzie stopped in front of you. She bent over, balanced her hands on her knees, and panted. Did you hear? Hear what? Lizzie bounced back up, her eyes blown wide. You only saw her this worked up when she found a new hiding place of Mom's sugar stash. Oh no. It's about Cove. Cove? Something in the pit of your stomach dropped at hearing his name. You listened intently as Lizzie explained. I just came out when I saw lots of people gathered around in the middle of the street. They were talking kind of quietly, so I don't think I was supposed to hear. But that just means it was important. So I snuck up and heard everything. She paused dramatically. Clearly she wanted you to say something. So? Oh, what did you hear? Tell me. I don't really care. You just looked back at her. What did you hear? Seeing that she had your attention, Lizzie continued. Cove was missing. He left a piece of paper for Mr. Holden to tell me what's going away and would be gone for a long time, and no one has seen him since. Now they're searching the whole neighborhood. The grown-ups were even saying that if they don't find Cove soon, they'll call the police. The police? This was horrible. You had seen Cove. You knew he was going someplace, but you had no idea it was like that. I kind of like this one because you understand the gravity and the seriousness of the situation in a different manner than you would if you followed Cove. In a sense that, like, Lizzie is upset as well, and you know that has to be serious. Like, yeah, she wants to bring the gossip, but she's also seemingly genuinely concerned for Cove. And I wonder what happens now. Like, are you gonna give them the scoop that he left and what way he went? Yeah. I think this one is an interesting way to go as well. And I also like that you kind of seem like a somewhat naive child in this one, because you can really not understand what's actually going on. So yeah, I like this route. Was Cove going to be arrested for running away? You thought you might have to go to jail too. That's what I'm talking about, this child naivete. I like that. For not saying anything and let him go. You glanced back at Lizzie. Should you tell her that you'd known about Cove leaving? Or would it be better to keep that to yourself? You told Lizzie about seeing Cove. You kept that a secret from Lizzie. No, we're gonna tell her because we're worried now. Actually, Lizzie, I saw Cove. He told me he was gonna go before I went to the park. What? Really? You nodded seriously. Ooh. Lizzie, stop! Be nice. You're gonna be nice. Okay. Ooh, you know you're gonna be in big trouble if a grown-up found out you didn't tell anybody that Cove was being weird. She crossed her arms over her chest, sticking her nose in the air. Beep. Whew! Dodged that bullet. You're lucky. I won't tell on you. You're welcome. My goodness, you scoffed. Thanks, Lizzie. You looked down shyly. Like, I keep saying shyly as Shiloh, so I'm like, are they reading me for filth right now? Anyway, you scoffed. There was no way you were gonna say thanks to her for that. No, because she was being rude. Still, you were glad that Lizzie wasn't going to tattle on you. She just grinned at her own interpretation of her favor. You watched as your sister began to pace in front of you. I know Mom said Cove was sad about moving here, but running away from home is just crazy. Where else is he gonna go anyway? I don't know. I want to find him. I hope someone finds him soon. Yeah. I'd go to a ton of places. You didn't answer her. No, I want to find him now. Lizzie scrunched her face up, thinking deeply for a moment. Then she nudged and planted her hands on her hips, determined. I'm gonna look too. You are? Mm-hmm. We can play at the park any day, and the more people that are looking, the quicker someone will find him. Maybe I'll be the one who does. I'm the best at hide and seek after all. It seemed like Lizzie wanted to look not only because she was concerned about Cove, but also because it was the most interesting thing to happen this week. Oh, God. Wish me luck. Before you could say anything, she ran off in the opposite direction from where she came from. You were left in the dust in a matter of moments. That was your sister for you. But Lizzie's appearance in this crisis faded in the back of her mind just as quickly. Cove. He told his dad he was leaving to go somewhere by himself. Why did Cove suddenly decide to do that day? Did something bad happen? It was impossible to say for sure. Unfortunately, you had no idea where he could have gone. You thought hard. There were the hills behind your house. He'd gone there the first time you'd met. But someone would have checked there already. They wouldn't need the police for that. Cove must be far away, or hiding somewhere, if the whole neighborhood was looking for him. You swung back and forth, your lips pursed in contemplation. If I were Cove, where would I go? Lacey had said Cove was crazy for running away from home, but he never considered Sunset Bird his home, did he? His real home was somewhere else. There was only one place that came to mind that he might be important enough for Cove to go off to like that. It was a good idea, except how was he gonna get there? Could he take a bus? Was he gonna walk the whole way? You didn't know what direction he needed to take. But wait, there was only one way he could go. Going down the street just led to the beach, so that couldn't be right. Going to either side would mean he'd get stuck by buildings and fences and big slopes, like the one behind your house. That left going up the street. You knew that road. It led into the main part of town and kept going all the way to the city limits. Cove didn't know the area well. You didn't think he'd want to go off road onto something random, onto some other random street. Which meant if someone followed that path, they might find him somewhere along it. The grown-ups seemed to all be looking in the neighborhood, so You had to tell them where to search. You had to go find Cove by yourself. No, let's find them where to... Let's tell them where to search. If they want to listen to us, that is. You rushed to where you had abandoned your flip-flops and slipped them on. They slapped against the sand as you left the playground. I hate flip-flops. That's it. That's the sentence. On your way home, you spotted Mom almost instantly. She must know about Cove and was looking too, because she was wearing a worried frown. Her expression cleared up when she saw you walking towards her. Rebecca, I'm glad you're here. Cove is... She cut herself off, sighing deeply. Why don't you head aside? I need to stay out for a bit longer. Something is going on right now, but we'll take care of it. Mom tried to usher you into the house, but you didn't budge from where you stood. Mom, I think I know where Cove went. What? How did you even find out he's missing already? She shook her head before you could answer. You know what? That's not important right now. Where is it, Rebecca? You told her your hunch. She listened intently. The main street. That's not good. I'll drive down there to make sure he doesn't get far. Mom muttered that more to herself than you, but you heard her all the same. Can I come with you? Is Cove gonna be okay? I'll stay at home now. No, we're coming with Mom, if she allows us to. Mom turned back to you and shook her head. I'm sure you're worried about Cove, and that's good, but I need you to wait here with Mommy. I'll find him. I'll bring him straight here, okay? You were disappointed, but you nodded. She stroked your cheek, smiling softly. Mom guided you to the house with a hand on your shoulder. You both went in. Mommy appeared quickly. She must have been waiting nearby. There was a phone in her hand. It worried you, thinking about who she might have been talking to. Mom briefly explained what happened before she grabbed the car keys. Mommy saw her out. Soon after, you were herded into the kitchen. You sat at the table while Mommy microwaved leftovers, which you gobbled up. I was hungry, apparently. You hadn't even realized how hungry we were. Well, you were. I just said anyway. The two of you settled into the living room after that. Mommy put a cartoon on the TV for you to watch while you waited. You snuggled up against her side as you watched the show, warm and safe. Oh, how cute. Your mind was still on Cove. Would Mom find him out there in town, or was he actually somewhere else? You didn't have to wait long to find out. Halfway through the episode, you heard the front door unlock. Then it swung open with a shout. We're here! I've got him, Lonnie! Come on in, Cove. You stood up from the couch and ran over. Your heart was beating so loud in your chest that you could hear it in your ears. Mom was putting the car keys away. Cove stood nearby with his head bowed. You squinted to get a better look at him. Cove looked exhausted. His eyes were rimmed red, nearly matching his glasses. And there were dry tear tracks stuck on his cheeks. Poor Cove boy. Oh, thank goodness you found him. Yes, he was way down the main street, just like Rebecca said. Cove shoveled his feet at that, but he remained silent. You could tell that he felt out of place. I feel you, my man. You weren't the only one who had noticed his discomfort. You must be tired, Cove. You can sit down wherever you'd like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned him to the living room. Cove looked up at her, then lumbered over. You walked close behind him, frowning. Cove was always pretty quiet, but this was a different kind of quiet. The living room wasn't far or separated by a wall, so you heard your moms talking softly. He wanted to go see his mother. Poor thing. That explains it, at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses it. It was so dangerous to go off into town like that. He's having a hard time right now. You can't expect a child to handle it maturely. True. It can't be helped. But that's enough of that. We should tell Cliff and the others that he's here before the panic gets out of hand. There could be riots. I'll call. Then go to the front until everyone's still out there. You can keep eye on the kids. Make sure they don't take any more trips today. Got it, hon. Cute. They are so adorable. I love them. Oh my goodness, a Cove jump scare just happened. That's embarrassing. Anyway, Cove just sat there on the couch, setting his backpack down beside him. He stared at his hands. This is so weird. What is? Everyone was looking for me. They all know I tried to leave. I kinda wanna run away and not come back this time, so I don't have to see them again. Hey, maybe I should try that. Maybe you should shut up. Oh my god. That isn't gonna help. They'll forgive you. Please never run away again. Literally, please don't. Maybe I shouldn't be guilt tripping him like that, but I, as a little kid, if I like lost my best friend like that, or just, and I was an idiot who wasn't like, please don't go, or I'll go with you, or whatever it may be, I feel like I would also react like that and be like, please don't go again because I was really scary and I don't like that. Cove looked guilty for even suggesting that, despite it not being serious. I won't. Not for real. Before he could say anything else, the front door opened. Your mom was back, with Mr. Holden close behind her. He made a beeline for the couch, his gaze trained on his son. Cove! God, are you alright? Strands of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. Oh, poor guy. His eyes were darkened like he'd been crying too. Oh my god, poor Cliff. Cove stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of his glasses. He really hadn't expected it to be such a big deal. Typical. I'm okay. Good. That's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile, but the corner of his lips twitched and spasmed, as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. My man is about to cry. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. He sure does. Mr. Holden turned to you, still grinning weakly, then looked at your moms. Thanks for your help, as always. He laughed pitifully. And I'm very sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough. It was no trouble, Cliff, really. It couldn't be helped in a way. Something was bound to happen sometime. We're just happy we could help, and that Cove is safe and sound. Not for the first time that day, you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had to run away then too, only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad, I won't leave anymore. Promise. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden's thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine. I'm so glad. That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and mused his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, bud. I bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still collapsing a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. The five of you walked over to the front door so you could see them off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms profusely at least 3 more times before he walked out the door. Cove was made to follow. But he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold. Thanks, Rebecca. For what? Your mom said you were the one who told her where to get me. It was good that I went back. A tiny smile fiddled across his lips, there and then gone. I'm glad you're okay. You waved him off. You hugged the shit out of him! Before he was gone, you reached over to give him a hug goodbye after a hard day. He held your back more tightly than you could have anticipated, and you almost squeaked out a noise. I'm glad you're here. Oh, so sweet. His embrace was tight but brief. He let go as soon as he said what he wanted to. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind them. You were left feeling overwhelmed. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom sent you off for a nap with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. After the nap, everything else was a blur. You were settled into bed for real later that night, in what felt like just a couple moments. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It was almost like it was a dream. But it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured that. After breakfast, you sat down and your family went over yesterday's events in full. They were pleased that you came to them the moment you had an idea where Cove disappeared off to. As a reward, your moms promised to take you and Lizzie out for a treat later. Yay! It was a more than welcome change from the worry you'd been dealing with. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what happened too. You didn't know what he said exactly, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't want to do anything to punish Cove for running away. He blamed no one but himself for Cove's desire to leave home. Aw, poor Dad. You caught your moms discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word used you hadn't heard before, self-flagellation. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Get out of here! Still, as they always did, days continued to pass. So did talk about Cove running away. Things eventually returned to normal, as they had to. Summer kept going, and you kept having experiences you shared with Cove. And that was Runaway. Run away with me to eternity. Okay, yeah. Let's save. And then let's play the last step in the DLC of step 1. Sleepover. Yay! Okay. Alright, kids. We're done with dinner. Come to the table. Your stomach grumbled right on time, as if it had heard your mom's words. You halted your game and looked over. Mom was almost done setting the table. She was walking around the mahogany wood, oh pretty, in the process of putting down cutlery. Mommy was still in the kitchen, humming under her breath as she turned off the stove and put empty pots in the sink to wash. From beside you, Lizzie stirred, uncrossing her legs and standing up. She stretched her arms above her head. Finally, I'm ready to eat. Then she cast a sly glance in your direction. You recognize that look. Last one on the table is a rotten egg. Oh, God. I haven't... But it was too late. Lizzie had already bolted towards the kitchen. You tried to catch up to her. You stayed sitting. You yelled out to her. You threw a cushion at her. We are being violent today. Oh. Oops. You threw a cushion at her. Grabbing one of the cushions from the sofa, you threw it towards her. It hit her in the back of the leg, but it was too soft to do anything of real consequence, and she merely brushed the attack off with a scowl. It was a short distance to the kitchen table. Lizzie managed to get there easily enough, slapping a hand over the wood. Mom moved just before Lizzie could bump into her. With an exacerbated sigh, she resumed her work. I win again! She's just like, girl, I'm over it. Stop, Lizzie. But she did not. She's probably said that one too many times for her to actually care anymore. Oh, this... blinded by the light. Anyway, you didn't win because you were racing by yourself. Because you cheated. Okay, you won. You didn't bother trying to talk about it. Because you cheated. I didn't cheat. You ran before me. Yeah, because that's how racing works. The one who starts wins. The one who starts first wins first. That isn't true. That sounds like something a rotten egg would say. Lizzie grinned, her hands on her hips, then looked over your shoulder. Cove. Oh, Cove's there too. Oh my, of course he is. Cove, you can be the tiebreaker. Was it real race that I totally won? You blinked. You hadn't noticed that he'd been doing this, what he had been doing this little event, which wasn't much. You spotted Cove still on the floor. His legs were crossed beneath him, the arm with the cast resting on his lap. He looked at the two of you with a slight frown. It felt sort of strange to see him still here so late. Tonight Cove had come to your house for a sleepover. Your moms and his dad had planned it for a few days. You weren't surprised. You were the one who asked your moms about it. You were excited when your moms told you the idea. There was so much to do. It had made you quite nervous. Now, personally, I always adored sleepovers, and I almost couldn't get enough of them. Like, I was just upset when I couldn't have them. So you weren't surprised. You asked your moms. That would be more realistic for me. They had told you they would ask Mr. Holden. You looked forward to it since the moment you found out he agreed. And you even helped Mom search the storage room for a sleeping bag and extra bedding to prepare for his visit. Cove pursed his lips at Lizzie's question, but he didn't respond. Maybe he was planning on ignoring her. Not that Lizzie would make that easy. This wasn't the first time she had asked him to be a referee for one of her sudden races. We know this. Maybe even more than we know, so yeah. Well, did I win or what? No. What? I don't think you won. How come? It's not my fault, Rebecca Slow. Cheating's cheating, and cheating should never win. You always pick her side, like she said. Cove snuck a shy peek at you before answering her. Oh, so adorable. I pick her and she picks me. You're a couple of rednecks then. That's enough. Nobody here is a loser or a rotten egg. You're each farm fresh. I love Mom. She's so funny. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Now, listen to Mom and come to sit at the table for dinner, all three of you. You and Lizzie obeyed, sitting across from each other at the edge of the table. Lizzie blew a raspberry at you when Mom turned her back. Beat. Your parents brought oh my god, this sun in my eyes. I bet I am the whitest of white, the palest of pale, but hello. Cut me a break, please. Anyway. Your parents brought the last of the food. Then they took seats further down the table instead of sitting right next to you and Lizzie. Only Cove was left out. He had stood up from his spot on the floor, but he hadn't made a move towards the kitchen. Cove, you can sit too. Slowly, he eyed the 4 seats that were left. Thanks to the new seating arrangement your parents chose, one free chair was beside you, another next to Lizzie, and the last 2 were on each side where your moms were sitting. Sit next to me. You can sit anywhere you want to. You stayed quiet. You can sit anywhere you want to. Maybe that's too much for him. Maybe I should have just... This sun right now! Okay, maybe I should have just said, sit next to me so that he wouldn't have to choose. He walked over, pulled out the chair next to yours, and sat down. You were glad he wanted to sit with you. He just needed to know it was okay. What the Jove? Now his name is Jove? I can't. Okay, Cove, jump scare. Maybe I was just about to say my boyfriend's name anyway. Now that everyone was situated, Mom began to pass out plates. Okay. Dig in, kids. I cooked a little bit of everything for dinner tonight. Be sure not to avoid all the veggies. Yes, Mom. Each person at the table served themselves, except for one. Cove hesitated again. He fidgeted with his hands, clammed up on the top of his knees. He didn't seem very comfortable doing stuff in someone else's house. One dish seemed to have his eye at least. That's pineapple chicken. Wanna try some? Not really. Sorry. By then, your moms had noted that Cove still had nothing on his plate as well. Do you not like any of the food, honey? Maybe he hasn't tried Hawaiian food before. He hasn't? Wow. Please don't talk with your mouth full, Lizzie. So maybe I'll recreate that. Oh. Oops. Lizzie swallowed the bite she was eating, then spoke again. He should try it now. She turned to Cove dramatically. Unless you want to shrink, that's what happens if you miss a meal. Elizabeth, that's not true. You know that. Cove squirmed under all the attention. He fidgeted with a fork between his fingers. Yeah, I get it. It's maybe a little intense. I had some things, just not any of this. Oh, shoot. I knew I should have asked your dad what your favorite foods were. It's alright. Stop. It's alright, Lonnie. Maybe I'll find a new favorite today. You weren't so sure about that. Cove didn't look like he was going to be trying out any of the food anytime soon. You let your moms handle this. I think you would like the pineapple chicken. It's yummy. Give me your plate. You should try something new. Give me your plate. I'm gonna give you something. Cove was a little confused by your request, but he handed it to you anyway. You took the plate for him and piled only the best foods on it. He watched you work intently, his good hands shoved underneath his leg. When you were satisfied with the amount on his plate, you returned it. Mommy is happy about that one. You should like some of these. Okay, thanks. That was very kind of you, Rebecca. You sat up straighter at the praise. At first, Cove poked at the food. Clearly he was apprehensive to eat something new. But he took a few exploratory bites. It's good, huh? Isn't it? You don't have to keep asking. He still speared some meat with his fork and ate it, chewing thoughtfully. It's not bad. Mom grinned at his words, satisfied. Even though it wasn't exactly a glowing commendation, Lizzie wasn't as mollified. You're so weird. Don't be mean to your friend. Oh, we're not friends. Oh, oh God. Mommy flundered in the face of Cove's blunt honesty. Yeah, he's on the spectrum. You know, and it's fine. You weren't surprised by Cove's declaration. The more you got to know him, the more you realized he wasn't the type of kid to keep his opinions to himself. She wasn't easy to get along with all the time, although Cove didn't make much of an effort either. You hoped Cove thought of you as a friend. The two of you were friends, right? You wondered how he felt about you. That still made you nervous about your own relationship with him. At least the two of you were definitely friends. We are definitely friends. You knew that without a doubt. The way you felt about Lizzie didn't change that. When you gave Cove a look, he returned a small smile, confirming your thoughts. Your mommy looked at Mom and only got a shrug. Elizabeth, you don't call someone weird. There's no such thing as weird person and a non-weird person. There's just different perspectives. It's not a nice thing to say to someone, anyone. But Pam? Mommy tried to whisper exclusively to Mom. Her attempt to make it audible over the sounds of clanking silverware meant you caught the quiet words anyway. They're not friends. He said so. As parents, we can only try, and sometimes we fail. Not all kids will be as thick as thieves. Now, less talking and more eating, kids. You need to clean up and start winding down for bed soon. I've been moving around because the sun has been following me. But Mom! No buts. We've talked about this. Your bedtime will be moved back in a few years. For now, you don't get to stay up late. The way I would try to avoid going to bed when I was a kid. I just talked with my parents about this because it's just been Easter. Me and my sister talked about it as well. That, yeah, I would just make up excuses after excuses after excuses just to stay up because I'm such a night owl. Definitely did not fly under the radar of my parents at all. They definitely knew what I was up to, but I would still try. So I really very much get you on that one, Lizzie. I would also like to not go to bed. Now I control that myself, by the way. Lizzie sulked, muttering under her breath about how it wasn't right. You laughed at Mom's phrasing. You groaned about it as well. You stayed quiet and finished your meal. Let's laugh at her! You couldn't contain your snorts. Something the matter, Rebecca? Oh my God, I don't know. I didn't think that was what I was laughing at. Mom says no buts. Lizzie scoffed and rolled her eyes, unimpressed by such crude words. Mommy snickered along with you, however. That's right. No butts allowed here. You'll have to get rid of yours. So cute. She's so adorable. No, I need it. The two of you continued to chuckle and Cove even cracked a smile. How cute. Children. I'm surrounded by children. The rest of dinner passed by uneventfully. Cove was silent for most of it, even when you nudged him and tried to get him to talk. All too soon, the table was cleared. The games in the living room were put away, and you were all steered to your bedrooms. Mom finished tucking you in and kissed your brow just as Mommy poked her head in the door. All ready for lights off, you two? You were lying comfortably on your bed, the blanket hiked up under your armpits. You could kick it off later if it got too hot. Mom had set up the sleeping bag on the floor for Cove, just beside your bed. He had already wiggled inside. You nodded for the both of you in response to Mommy's question. Perfect. I'll go say goodnight to Lizzie then. Mom tweaked your nose, chuckled, then you squawked in annoyance and left. Mommy took her place, sitting on the edge of your bed. Sweet dreams, sweetie. She pressed a soft kiss on your forehead. You giggled. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak now. You giggled as strands of her hair fell toward and killed you? Tickled you. Maybe I need to relax. Mommy smiled down affectionately at you, then moved her attention to Cove, who watched from his spot on the floor. Do you need anything before falling asleep, honey? What does your dad do? Oh, he's not wearing his little glasses. Sometimes he picks me up and lifts me really high and shakes his head like he's gonna let go, but he catches me again. He keeps doing that until sometimes he does drop me on the bed. Or other times he lowers me down and we pretend like I'm crashing. Cove had become pretty excited when talking about the nightly ritual he and his dad shared. He seemed to realize how animated he was and bashfully quieted. But I don't want to do that here. Oh, how fun! Though I think you're right that it might not be a good idea to do that tonight. The sleeping bag might not be a soft enough landing. If there's anything else, you can ask me or Rebecca's other mom. But I'm the nicer one. Just don't tell her that. Lonnie, do not shade Pam up in here. She laughed good-naturedly and stood up. Sleep well, Cove. Night. Leaning against the door jamb, she rested a hand on the light switch and looked at you. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Right. With a last smile, Mommy turned off the lights and stepped out. Closing the bedroom door behind her, you listened to her footsteps fade as she walked down the hallway. But even as the sound vanished, your eyes stayed open. It was so exciting to have Cove spending the night. Cove? Yeah, I'm glad we're friends. Oh, thanks. Me too. Silentium. You started when Cove sighed deeply. You turned your head to look in his direction. In the dark, you could only see a faint outline of lump over the covers. Cove? What's wrong? What was that? Could you be less loud? Could you be quieter, please? Stop that! What was that? Nothing, I can't sleep. Why not? He shifted, or at least you thought he did. You couldn't see anything, since your eyes were still adjusting to the dark, but you heard his sleeping bag rustle. I want to be in my bed. Oh. Cove sat up. Your eyes had gotten used to the low light level, so you could see him better. He got out of the sleeping bag, wobbled towards your side table, and pulled open the top drawer. What is it? I'm getting my glasses. You sat up too, watching as he reached inside. He paused for a second, then pulled his hand out. Instead of his glasses, though, he was holding a book. Cove turned it around in his hands, trying to figure out the proper orientation for it. You knew even without reading the title which one it was. That was one your moms would read to you. It was special. Be careful, that's mine! I thought you were looking for your glasses. What are you gonna do with that? Cove shrugged, squinting at the newly found cover in the dark. I just thought it would look cool. The compliment he afforded your special book had you grinning, your confusion forgotten. It is really cool. Oh yeah? What's it about? It's a story about a squire who wants to become a knight, and there's magic. Does it have mermaids? No, but I really love the main character because the squire is really brave and funny. It has cool pictures. Some of them even take up the whole page. Mommy reads this to me. She uses different voices for every character. Shout out to my dad for doing the same when I was a kid. There's a dragon in it and crazy things happen. I love dragons too though, but I would probably say this. Some of them were really silly too. There's lots of characters and they all have good lines, so it's fun. Cove looked excited by your words. He flipped the book over and focused at the backside summary. He must be pretty interested in it. You reminded of the hours you'd spent hearing the tales. No matter how many times you'd read it or had it read to you, you were still entertained by the story and the pictures inside. Awesome. You glanced out the window. The moon was high in the sky. It was definitely the time when you were supposed to be asleep. You shouldn't keep staying up. You wanted to read the book with Cove, hell yeah. You climbed out of bed and padded over to your side table. You opened it and rummaged around, pushing aside stuffed toys and crayons. Cove called out to you in a confused whisper. What are you doing? You'll see. You let out a cry of victory when you found out what you were looking for. When you found what you were looking for, you jumped back into the bed before any hidden boogeyman could catch you unaware. Too real. Oh, it's so dark now. This is spooky. Cove continued to watch as you wiggled your way beneath the blanket you discarded earlier. You pulled it over your head. What? Come on, check it out. Bring the book too. After a minute, the bed dipped as Cove got in. Then the blanket shifted. You fiddled with the flashlight in your grip, feeling for the switch. Oh god! We're getting blinded! With a click, the small space flooded with a bright light. Cove sputtered, putting a hand to the shield and to shield himself from the beam. Move it somewhere else! Sorry. You tilted the flashlight so it was shining down towards the floor of your blanket cave. I was just gonna say cove. And away from Cove's sensitive eyes. Is that better? Yeah. Now I can read, and my moms won't know. I do this all the time. I've never tried something like this before. I do this all the time. When mom or mommy check on me, I have to hide everything under the blanket, but I haven't been caught before. Yeah, I used to do this heavy with my Nintendo DS. Girl. No way. But it's just so bad because Mario on the other line would just be like, bye-bye. And my mom was like, get that out of here. Oh my god. Yeah, it was not. Because you had to have sound on just a little bit at least. But it's just the way that you would fall into a weird-ass sleeping position anyway. You're caught. You're caught. Just accept you're caught anyway. When mom or mommy check on me, I have to hide everything under the blanket, but I haven't been caught before. I already said that. Do you want to try? Cove nodded, pleased by his straightforward response. He placed the book between you and flipped it open to the first page. Meanwhile, he lay down on his belly and shuffled closer, picking up the flashlight to shine on the pages. His face was illuminated with a warm glow. You mirrored his position, leaning in so you could see the book better. Your foreheads nearly brushed. Until you shuffled back at a comfortable distance. You wanted the story to be narrated. You thought it was best to take turns reading the book silently. You flipped through the pages to show Cove cool pictures. No, we are narrating this, B. You loved it when mommy read to you. Why not read as loud as you dare at this time of night? You didn't even need to study the page for long.
There was once a squire who dreamed of knighthood. All they wanted was to do good.
Cove was taken aback when you began to recite the words by heart. You even pronounced knighthood properly, a word which had given you grief in the past. His reaction encouraged you to keep going. Soon, you got to an exciting part, the squire and the dragon's first meeting.
The squire walked up to this fearsome dragon, their borrowed sword in the one hand and a torch in the other. Her red scales danced in the light like flickering flames.
Could you say the dragon's lines? Do you need to get your glasses? No, my head hurts if I don't wear my glasses for a while. I can kind of see things alright, but I don't know any voices. That's okay, it's fun anyway. Let me just... Cove read the page, his mouth moving silently with the words. Eventually, he nodded to himself and spoke them out loud.
Who goes there?
Roared the dragon.
Who dares enter my cave?
It was your turn. You went into the squire's famous speech. The next time you looked up from the page, your gaze landed right on Cove. His eyes were following the text, a soft smile lighting up his features. A lock of his hair fell into his field of vision, but he gave it no notice. He was lost in the story. You started when Cove caught you watching him. He raised a questioning eyebrow. What? Nothing. Cove shot you a strange look, but he went back to the book. You did too, even as your eyelids started to droop. When your eyes opened again, your bedroom was pitch black and silent. Your head was smushed into your pillow. Your pajamas were sticking to you, and your mouth was dry. Oh, get that water now! Slowly you raised yourself onto your elbows. You yawned, the back of your throat twinging as you did so. I'm just getting thirsty. Just the description of that thirst is, yeah. You rolled onto your side to sit up in bed, planning on getting water from the kitchen, when you saw a dark shape towering above you. Oh god. You froze. Then you remembered you weren't alone in your room tonight. Cove, that you? Yeah. Oh my god, we just said that in unison. Okay. You shifted and felt something cylindrical press against your thigh. You fumbled for it. The familiar weight of the flashlight pressed into your palm. You turned it on. Cove blinked at you, looking exhausted. He was in his normal clothes again, shoes and everything. His pajama pants were left on the floor, abandoned. His sleeping bag was in a similar state. What is it? Can't sleep, I keep waking up. Did you have a bad dream? He shook his head from side to side. No, just can't sleep, it's weird here. You frowned. You'd helped your mom's redecorate it only a few months back. I like my room. It's not that it's bad. I just always sleep in my bed. In my room. That made things a little clearer. It wasn't anything you'd done. Cove couldn't sleep in any place. You wondered how long it took for Cove's bedroom in his new house to not be weird to him. Probably a while. I'm gonna go. What? That shook off the last of your juiciness. He was going to walk outside back to his own house? This time of night? All by himself? He noticed your shocked expression and looked at you with resolve. My dad will let him in, and I've gone outside late before and I have to go. Well, if you have to. You don't have to. I'll come with you. I should tell my moms. I'll come with you. Why? I can get there myself. And then you'd have to walk all the way back there from my house. I want us to stay together more. I think I should come anyway. I've got to make sure nothing happens to you. I want us to stay together more. Cove looked at you quietly, as if he was contemplating something, before nodding his head. Okay. I guess he gets that. With that, Cove casually crouched down to collect his pajama pants. You were relieved he didn't mind you coming. Are you getting the rest of your stuff too? Like your toothbrush? I don't know where my mom's put it all. No, just this. You could understand that. He didn't really need anything right now, and you could always pick up his things tomorrow. Cove visited your house during the day, all the time. You grabbed the flashlight and waited by the door. Soon, Cove joined you. The two of you crept out to the hallway as silently as you could. Ooh, it's dark. It actually makes it a bit creepy, but I've just been traumatized by Doki Doki Literature Club, and that's why I'm scared now. Because it looks exactly the same. Like, it looks the same. Anyway, you sidestepped the loose floorboard at the end of the hall, altering Cove to do it as well. Apart from that, you had no problems making it to the front door. Everybody was in their rooms, so the rest of the house was abandoned. It was brighter outside. Here, some of your other neighbors had lights coming through the windows. Still, you felt better with your flashlight turned on. You pointed it to the direction you were walking. There was no sound apart from the chirping of crickets and the crunch of some loose sand that got all the way up to the street from the beach. After a while, it was almost soothing. You thought back to your unlocked front door and hoped one of your moms didn't wake up. If they locked it or checked in on you, or both, you'd be in a lot of trouble. Surprisingly, it was Cove who broke the deep silence. This was my first sleepover. Really? I've had sleepovers before. Sometimes I'll go to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Shiloh slept over a few times too, and other stuff. Cove remained quiet. The silence stretched between you, but it didn't feel awkward right now. You didn't feel the need to break it immediately. How was it, or is it? It's not bad. I liked reading your book. You did? I kind of thought you weren't having fun. You didn't really say anything when we were eating. I don't know what to say. Oh. Now you were the one who didn't know what to say, so you said nothing. You just lit the path ahead. The two of you kept walking side by side. Your shadows stretched across the concrete. In almost no time at all, you arrived. Cove's house loomed above you. The window's dark. Mr. Holden must be sleeping, just like everyone else in your own family. Are you sure your dad's gonna get the door? Yeah, he wakes up real easily. As if to demonstrate, he rang the doorbell. A couple minutes passed, and you wondered if Cove was wrong. Then the front door unlocked and cracked open. Out came his dad. Okay. Mr. Holden wasn't wearing all of his clothes. I could see that. His hair wasn't up in a ponytail like normal either. You felt a little bad to disturb him when he definitely had not been expecting anybody. His eyes had been narrowed into tired slits. They were opened wide when he saw you in Cove. Kids, what in the world are you doing? Everything okay? I couldn't sleep. Cove said my room is weird. Mr. Holden blinked, his features still twisted in panic. Then he closed his eyes and let out a deep breath. Right, well that's a shame. What's done is done. Come inside, son.
We can talk about what happened in the morning. Okay. Cove yawned while accepting the terms without complaint. Thank you for dropping him off, Rebecca. I think you'll have to be a part of the conversation tomorrow, but we'll deal with that, what to do next time. Now, let me walk you back. It's not safe for you to be out this late by yourself. He moved to step past you, but you shook your head. I'll be fine, Mr. Holden. My house is right here, and I have a flashlight. Mr. Holden remained where he was, his eyes furrowed, and placed a hand on Cove's shoulder blade. Then I'll stand right there, right here. Cove and I will be your lookouts. We'll close our door once you've made it back inside. You nodded your head at the compromise. Have a good night. Take care. Mr. Holden waved you off as you turned your eyes met Cove's. Still standing beside his dad, his lips turned up at the corners. He spoke in almost a whisper. Bye, Rebecca. Thanks for coming. Flashlight clutched in your hand, you jogged back over to your home. You did feel better knowing Cove and his dad were watching to make sure nothing happened. Once you got to your front door, you glanced over to see the two waiting. You waved. Faintly, you saw Cove. You saw Cove wave back. You quietly closed the door behind you, smiling to yourself. Then you tiptoed into your bedroom. The flashlight was returned to your drawer in its rightful place. Although Cove had to go back home in the end, you still consider the sleepover to be quite the success. You did hope that next time he'd be able to stay a whole night, whenever next time would come along. The next morning, you were woken by the sounds of Mom's voice and a soft shake on your shoulder. Rebecca, wake up. It's time to get up and at him. What? The sun was peeking through your curtains, and you rubbed your eyes as they adjusted to the new light. Cove's already out of bed. Oh no, she doesn't know. Oh, you blinked at her for a moment, confused, until you caught the empty sleeping bag on the ground and remembered what happened during the night. But I didn't see him out there. I wonder where he's gotten off to so early. You hesitated, giving Mom a look with your mouth hanging half open as your mind processed what to tell her. Rebecca, is everything alright? Cove couldn't sleep. He said my room was weird. What? Where is Cove now? Did he sleep on the couch? Mom was still looking at you expectantly, but as you started to explain what had happened, you were interrupted by Mommy calling from downstairs, saying Mr. Holden was at the door. You could tell by the way Mom's forehead crinkled that she was even more concerned. When she turned to head downstairs, you pulled back the covers and jumped out of bed to follow her. Oh God, why does everybody look so sad? No! Cliff, how are you? Mom joined Mommy at the door, while you hovered at the bottom of the stairs and peeked around the corner. You saw Cove's dad standing just outside, a sheepish smile on his face. He was alone, and you wondered if Cove was alright. I don't want to alarm you both, but Cove showed up back home in the middle of the night, and he wasn't alone. Oh no, now Mom is not happy. Oh God. Oh no, my camera died! And we are back days later as per usual, because my camera hates me. But yeah, now the sunlight's gone. But anyway, he rubbed the back of his neck. Well, we're already off to a great start here. He rubbed the back of his neck anxiously. He must have felt bad about sharing the news. Mr. Holden kind of reminded you of Cove in that moment. Your moms exchanged a matching pair of surprised looks, Mommy grasping and covering her mouth with a hand. The two of them looked your way. You quickly ducked behind the wall. The boy and I made sure Rebecca got back safe, but Cove wouldn't tell me what happened. I thought you might have a little more insight. We didn't hear a thing during the night. I noticed Cove was gone just minutes before you arrived. Is he alright? We are so sorry. We'll be having a talk with Rebecca about this for sure. I thought that was Mr. Holden who said that, but realized halfway through it wasn't. Mr. Holden pulled his lips into a tight smile and held up his hands as if to say it wasn't their fault. He's fine. I just wanted to find out more before having another talk with him. I should have known he wasn't ready to spend the night at someone else's house. You felt bad for Mr. Holden. He looked so sad. They discussed the event for a little bit longer, your parents promising to call him if they found out more, and when Mr. Holden finally said goodbye, you heard Mom calling your name. Immediately, you panicked, wondering if you should find somewhere to hide. There was a growing sense of dread in your stomach that you were about to get in a lot of trouble.
Your moms found you eventually, though you were relieved to see that they didn't look very angry. They did, however, look very, very worried. What were you thinking, Rebecca? Why didn't you tell us something was wrong? Why did you leave the house? You toed the ground in front of you, refusing to look at them. I'm sure you were just trying to help him, but you know it's dangerous to go outside at night without a parent, don't you? Nodding your head, you couldn't do much more than listen as your parents explained how dangerous it had been for you and Cove to wander off to his house on your own. Personally, you didn't think it was that bad, since Cove lived only across the road, but you didn't tell your moms that. Better not. You were already in enough trouble as it was. So when they asked you to promise to tell them something like that next time, you nodded your head in agreement. Even though it was a little unfair, you accepted the punishment that you weren't allowed to have any sleepovers until you could prove to your moms that you were responsible enough. You were determined to show them that you could be trusted. When you saw Cove next, he was sorry you had gotten in trouble. After hearing a similar lecture, Cove got away with a warning from his dad. Typical. Mr. Holden felt the negative experience was enough already, and Cove didn't need any additional punishment. In the end, the two of you and your parents were eventually able to move past the ill-fated sleepover. It had all been a learning experience, according to the adults. You could accept that. There were definitely things you learned from it. And hopefully, one day, you and Cove would finally be able to have a successful sleepover. Yay! And honestly, that's where step 1 ends. I guess I'll see you guys in the next one to see what happens when we go on to step 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!